You don't need a mansion or a Hollywood name to leave behind a story that's more than just fame.
Me to need a will, just a family, or a cat plotting world domination. Welcome to Celebrity Estate Chaos, where we prove a lot of things. Like how estate chaos isn't just for millionaires with private islands, anyone with stuff, relatives, or that one weird collection you think nobody's fighting over. And chances are, they will.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take the hardest, most necessary conversations in life, synthesize the best research, and give you some actionable knowledge. Today, we are tackling a universal experience, something that brings, I think, a profound dread to every adult child: the conversation.
That's right. And for anyone listening who's been, putting this off for years, you know exactly what we're talking about. It's that incredibly awkward moment you realize you have to pivot.
Pivot from being the kid who, ate dirt in the backyard to the adult asking your parents about their final wishes.
And the finances, their legal preparedness. It's a huge shift.
It's role reversal in the most extreme way possible. And we know that immediate defense mechanism you get back. One source we looked at described it perfectly. It's the, "Oh, honey, don't be morbid" face.
Oh, I know that face. It's that look of just confusion and complete dismissal, reserved for topics they absolutely do not want to touch.
Right. And so this deep dive is dedicated to understanding that resistance.
We're looking at sources that really break down the psychology of it. Why aging parents get so secretive. Why we as adult children procrastinate. And most importantly, we're here to arm you with practical, system-based strategies to actually manage this.
Because the struggle is, it's excruciating. And avoidance is a luxury no one can afford.
And the urgency isn't just some abstract idea. The statistics are genuinely alarming, depending on which study you look at. Somewhere between 50 and 60% of American adults don't even have a basic will.
50 to 60%. That's more than half the population basically leaving their entire financial and legal life to chance.
It is.
Yeah.
But the lack of planning, it goes so much deeper than just a will.
You're talking about those other documents, the ones that matter while they're still alive, right? Can you just briefly define what those are? The key legal terms we're missing here.
Absolutely. So we have to talk about advanced directives and powers of attorney, or POAs. A will. That's for what happens to your stuff after death. But an advanced directive, sometimes called a living will, and a healthcare POA. Those spell out your medical wishes and who can make decisions for you if you can't.
If you're incapacitated.
Exactly. And then the financial power of attorney lets someone pay your bills, manage your money if you can't. If you don't have those set up, you are just instantly paralyzed when a crisis hits. You have no legal authority.
Okay, so let's unpack the psychology behind this avoidance. We found sources describing something we're calling the immortal founder syndrome.
That is the perfect way to frame it. So many aging parents operate under this, this charming but steadfast delusion. They believe they're the first generation to have successfully hacked the mortality system.
Their retirement plan isn't a 401k, it's just immortality.
Their investment strategy is simply not dying. It's almost a kind of magical thinking.
If they ignore the whole concept of end-of-life planning, then maybe the end of life will just politely ignore them back. It's strategic denial.
And that denial, it feeds into this fantasy.
What's the fantasy?
The fantasy is always that there's going to be this one calm, organized moment. They'll hand over a perfectly color-coded binder with everything labeled.
And you thank them for being so thoughtful and prepared.
Right. But the reality is it's messy. The fantasy always shatters. And it shatters at the worst possible moment.
In a crisis.
In a crisis. A sudden fall, a stroke, a diagnosis. And the cruel part of all that avoidance is that you are instantly transformed. You stop being the grieving son or daughter.
You become a detective.
A frantic detective. You have to find a life insurance policy, track down deeds, guess passwords hidden in old journals.
Well, wading through a basement full of 30 years of National Geographic.
Exactly. That image of becoming a forensic accountant just nails the fallout of silence. And the cost isn't just emotional. It is financial and legal chaos.
It's absolute chaos.
It is. If there's no will and no updated POA, assets can get frozen. The state has to step in to supervise everything.
And that's called probate, right?
That's probate. It's the official legal process to prove a will is valid, or, if there isn't one, to distribute assets according to state law.
Which sounds long.
It can be incredibly long, very expensive, and public. Everything your parents probably wanted to avoid.
So instead of making these decisions calmly, over coffee based on their wishes.
You're in a hospital hallway at 3 a.m. under those horrible fluorescent lights making panic decisions.
Waiting just turns a manageable transition into a complete catastrophe.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's the urgency that should push us all past the awkwardness.
Okay, so let's get to the core resistance. If the cost is so high, why the secrecy? Why do parents guard this information like it's I love this phrase, the Fort Knox of Tupperware?
The sources are very clear on this. It comes down to one word: control. I mean, think about it. Aging often means losing control over your own life.
Your mobility, your hearing.
Your ability to navigate a TV remote with 400 buttons. So information. That's the last bastion of autonomy they have.
So holding on to those secrets, the bank details, the health directives, that feels like they're retaining their status as independent adults.
Exactly. Handing over those login details, signing that POA, it feels less like planning and more like liquidating their controlling interest in their own life.
It feels like giving up the wheel.
Or as one source put it feels like being interrogated, not like collaborating.
But isn't some of that secrecy warranted? I mean, for their dignity. How do we balance our need for information with their right to autonomy? We don't want to make them feel like we're taking over.
That's a crucial point, and the sources really emphasize that balance. You have to see the other reason for resistance.
You should just.
Love and pride. They still see themselves as the provider, the shield, the one who protects you. Admitting they need help or planning for when they're gone feels like they're failing in that core mission.
Like they're burdening their kids.
Exactly. So when we push, they feel like we're looking at them as a dependent, not as a revered parent.
That reframing is so important. It's not just stubbornness.
No, it's a defense of their identity. And if you approach it knowing that, you can really soften the conversation.
Which brings us to the solution. Because we've established people aren't avoiding this because they don't care. They're avoiding it because it's just overwhelming. It's too big, too abstract, too emotional.
The overwhelm factor is the enemy here. It really is. And that's why the experts we looked at unanimously advocate for one thing: introduce a structured organizational system.
So don't just go in planning to talk.
No, if you go in empty-handed, you're going to retreat the second emotions get high.
So you bring in a system, you turn the scary emotional summit meeting into a manageable organizational task.
Absolutely. The goal is to bring a guided planner, a template, a checklist to the conversation. That one act completely depersonalizes the conflict. It shifts the whole dynamic.
From me versus you.
To us versus the paperwork. You become a project manager, just facilitating tasks, not some intrusive kid asking deeply sensitive questions.
It sounds like a way to just strip out the emotional charge and replace it with structure.
It does.
Yeah.
And it reduces the cognitive load so much. Instead of asking what will happen when you die, which is terrifying, you ask, hey, can we just check off whether this document is signed?
Right. Small, achievable wins. It keeps the momentum going.
And this kind of toolkit, it needs to go way beyond just a will today. We have whole new categories of assets and risks to plan for.
Right. We need to be ready for caregiving, emergencies, but also all the new digital challenges.
Yes.
Let's talk about those for a second, because that's a nightmare if you don't plan. What is crypto planning?
Crypto planning is all about those unique digital assets like Bitcoin or NFTs. They're protected by these complex cryptographic keys, often stored on just one device.
So there's no central bank to call for help?
None. If a parent passes away without sharing those specific private keys or instructions, those assets can be permanently lost forever. A good plan makes sure those keys are legally accessible.
And the same thing for general cybersecurity, right? Social media, email, recurring bills, you need a list.
You need an inventory. Otherwise, you're just trying to shut down accounts and manage their digital legacy completely in the dark. This organizational approach has to cover all of it: the legal, the physical, and the digital.
Okay, so we've got the psychology, we've got the tools, now strategy. How do we actually break the ice without getting that don't be morbid face? I think we have to just reject the fantasy of the one and done conversation.
That single perfect summit does not exist. This has to be a series of small, low-stakes talks, a drip feed of information over time. If you use a checklist, you can make each talk just 20 minutes on one single item.
So what's the best way to start? The best opening move?
The best strategy we found is to blame the external threat. Frame the whole conversation as protecting them from the man.
Unite against a common enemy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You mentioned, offhandedly that you read a scary article about how bureaucracy wins if you don't have these documents signed.
So instead of saying, I need to see your bank account, you say?
You say, we need to make sure the state doesn't appoint some random expensive lawyer to make decisions and freeze the assets you work so hard for.
It shifts the enemy. You're not the bad guy
Our
anymore.
partners, protecting their legacy from some outside threat. Nothing unites generations like a shared suspicion of the government.
Okay, strategy 2 is my favorite. You completely flip the script. You play the I'm an idiot card.
This one is masterful because it plays right into their need to be the expert, the provider. Instead of asking for their details, you ask for their advice on your life.
So you say something like, Mom, Dad, I'm finally trying to set up my own living will and POA, but I'm totally lost. What did you guys do?
Exactly. It flatters their ego, puts them back in the driver's seat, and it forces them to either show you their plan.
Or admit they don't have one, which is the perfect opening to say, well, let's figure it out together.
They go from being the defensive subject to the wise consultant.
And if they're still resistant to money talk,
Strategy 3. Focus on wishes, not money. Start small. Focus on quality of life and legacy, not bank accounts.
give me an easy entry point for that.
Start by asking about the party, not the funeral. You could say, if you ever got really sick and couldn't communicate, what would matter most to you? For your quality of life.
Or even something like, what songs do you want playing at your send-off?
Yes, talking about music or stories or charity. It's a gentle way into legacy planning without triggering all the financial anxiety.
And finally, strategy 4, the indirect approach.
This is when you use a third party as the excuse. It makes it less personal, less accusatory. You say, my friend Sarah had an absolute nightmare when her dad passed unexpectedly without a will. It got me thinking.
I just want to make sure we don't end up in that situation.
You're using an external story as the motivation, not their immediate mortality.
So we've broken down the system, we have the strategies, but let's just circle back to the core truth before we close out. This is going to be awkward.
It will be. There might be tears, frustration, that nervous laughter we talked about. But the sources all define this conversation, as uncomfortable as it is, as the single greatest gift you can give each other.
You're making sure their legacy is protected, their wishes are honored.
And the ultimate payoff.
Yeah.
It's not about you controlling their finances. It's about your peace of mind. The goal is to make sure that when the inevitable happens, you are freed from that devastating role of frantic case manager.
Or forensic accountant or detective hunting for passwords.
You're released from that burden.
Yeah.
And it allows you to just be their son or their daughter. To be present, grieving, holding their hand through a transition that is manageable, not a catastrophe created by avoidance.
So if this discussion resonates with you, we really do recommend seeking out those comprehensive organizational tools, the guided planners designed for this. The ones that cover everything from estate planning and caregiving to digital assets and cybersecurity.
Structured guidance is absolutely the key to turning this emotional mountain into a series of achievable molehills. You should look for links to these kinds of organizational resources in the description below this deep dive. They can help you start today.
And think about this as you move forward. Having this conversation is really the final, profound way we help our parents care for us. When you commit to this, when you get this planning done, you aren't just protecting their assets. You are, quite decisively, ensuring your own future peace of mind. Go ensure your peace of mind.
That's a wrap for today's chaos. If you learned something, laughed a little, or now feel slightly more prepared for life's curveballs, we've done our job. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media. Catch us on Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere podcasts make you rethink your to-do list. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, if it's important and unexpected, we probably cover it. Stay safe, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.